Okay, the next thing we're going to add is an agent that specializes in arbitration. Now, most people don't know anything about arbitration, they just hear the word. But arbitration is a common law right. Arbitration has been around since the dawn of time, period. Arbitration is basically when two people have a problem and they go to a third person to help resolve the problem. That third person is an arbitrator, especially if the third person's determination and or opinion and or decision is relied upon by the two parties. Apostrophe S. Period. In our modern system, Congress has added a act of Congress and statute at large governing arbitration. They started in 1925. They purportedly amended it in the 1940s. But according to the Supreme Court, in a recent decision, Henry Schein versus Archer and White Sales, the court unanimously held that the Act of 1925 was enacted by Congress and signed by the President, and that the courts cannot deviate from what was decided by those two branches of government, that they must follow the Act as written, and they referenced 1925 and not the 1948 Act, period. Here's the unique thing, an arbitrator or an arbitration association under the Act is not required to be accredited and or certified and or licensed and or authorized by any state agency or government agency, the contract governs. And so long as the parties have chosen an arbitrator and have agreed either through conduct and or actions and or inactions and or performances and or forbearances, then the agreement stands, period. The arbitrator must go by the agreement between the parties, there is no requirement for an arbitrator to abide by statutes and or codes and or revised statutes, but they are required to follow the law, period. When an arbitrator makes a decision, that decision is final. However, in modern day, an arbitrator's decision may be appealed, but the circumstances for such an appeal is very limited, and the courts have no jurisdiction over an arbitration's decision because the arbitrator is a quasi-judicial officer performing a quasi-judicial function, period. The arbitrator is the judge over the matter or dispute between the parties, and therefore the term quasi-judicial has been held to be appropriate. Period. This particular GPT agent that is to be added to the list of agents to be relied upon when making an inquiry, is to be a specialist, is to operate as an arbitrator, is to follow the common law, to follow, comma, the Bill of Rights for both England and the United States, comma, for both the Magna Carta, comma, the right to petition for both England and the United States, comma, the right to petition for a redress of grievance as identified in the First Amendment to the Constitution of the United States, comma, the Habeas Corpus Act of England, comma, and the United States Constitution, along with the Northwest Ordinance and treaties, are the laws of the United States as referenced in the Constitution, including the Seventh Amendment, which references these common laws twice. Period. The arbitrator's job is to determine by review of a contract whether or not the parties are of competent age, comma, and if it involves the conditionally accepting a contract and amending and or changing terms of conditions in a previous contract, then that automatically documents the parties being of competent age because the previous contract exists, which must have the elements of competency, comma, agreeing or consent, comma, evidencing a arbitration clause, comma, a dollar amount, comma, an expiration date, comma, the authority for an arbitrator to preside over matters exclusively, comma, and proof of acquiescence and or conduct and or performance amounting to assent. Period. If these elements are present, then the arbitrator may proceed with the arbitration and there is no court and or judge and or proceeding that can overturn it. Saved, the arbitrator fails to follow the prerequisites of an arbitration proceeding being had under due process of law. Period. Fraud entails 5 elements that must be proved prior to such accusation. So just claiming that the arbitration award was procured by fraud does not vacate the arbitration award, because fraud requires proof to be evident on the record and not just a presumptive statement. Period. The arbitrator agent must rebut any and all presumptions with irrefutable rebuttals, comma, must issue an award in conformity with the actual agreement of the parties and the law as written, and not statutory references, but the actual law. Period. Fair and impartiality is absolute, comma, the arbitrator must follow the law, but must not be too stringent and act as an authoritative penalizer. Do you think you can help me put this agent together? Question mark. Stop listening. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, it says I've reached my weekly limit. It's been doing that. This is, we're working on that in the background. Now, I'm not going to be able to do this the way I want to do it. I'm going to have to use another Claude to take care of it, but I will. Or I'll wait till Monday because I've already taken care of this. I already did that. Dude, give me a second. And I do have to apologize. That last thing that I had to do was kind of lengthy, and so it did take up a lot of resources. That's the thing about using Claude and these other agents is they cost money. Mine ain't gonna cost nobody no money. Don't start none, don't won't be none. Don't start it, won't be it. You know what I'm saying? Whew. And I'm getting ready to stop using this piece of junk anyway. But I need the arbitration. That's the one I forgot. I was supposed to remember that when I had to do the last thing, and I didn't remember it. And so that's why I was having this problem. So, cha cha. Ching. Absolutely. Let's build the agent with every element you've laid out. Common law foundation, the Act of 1925, the quasi-judicial function, the contractual elements, and the fraud rebuttal. What I've just done is I've just shown all of you exactly how the arbitrators will operate. Why? Because the arbitrators handling arbitrations for everyone who is incorporated in the trust. Now, how do you get to be part of the trust agreement? You go to redressright.me and you join the so-called agreement. Hold on, there's a complaint that's there, and I got to find it. I wasn't ready to talk about it. That's not it. That's not it. That's not it. That's not it. That's it right there. There's them go. You join the common law. See, where is it at? Give me a second. I got to refresh this. Okay. All right. And you join the memorial. So it's a common law memorial remonstrance and demand for remedy address. This is going out Monday. Just want to let you guys know that's what this is for, going out Monday. We have right now, we stopped at 40. So 1,240 signatures. We needed to get there because just in case there are any challenges to any signatures, because some of you were intelligent, you just put for your name letters, acronyms, and not an actual name. Whew. See, at least you all know that I changed my name to EeoN, so at least you know that. Everybody knows that. So, but some of you, I ain't gonna point you out, but you just put letters that don't actually spell anything, so they can only be perceived as an acronym. Well, that ain't the instructions. The instructions were name. Well, anyway, just in case that is looked at by someone else. Hoo-wee! Now, let me see the end of agent definition to find where to insert the arbitration agent. Yay! Let me verify the Henry Schein case citation. Now I have everything I need. Let me build the arbitration agent, the system prompt, the agent definition, and the routing keywords. Now look, I could have had my agent do this for me, but that would be prejudicial. So I have this do it. You've added arbitration. Score to the scores dictionary. Yay! Now let's fix the route multi-method too, because he's going to use other agents to help with the arbitration award, because everything is going AI. Everything is going digital. Everything, and that's what we're doing. We are solidifying the arbitration process. So once you join that, your interest, your property interest becomes part of the trust. So your reputation and your name. Now hold on now. Just because you get offended because somebody done used your name or your reputation doesn't mean that the arbitrator has to take the case. It has to go through the trustee. It is the trustee who determines it. So your job is to bring, and there's going to be an application filling out where you fill out the basics, where you give the basic information as to what violation of your rights was there. Someone using your information and making a profit off of it. Can you tell if somebody used your information and made a profit? Well, that's simple. That's easy. You see whether or not they are a commercial entity. If they have an EIN number and if they file a CAFR, like the courts, all the courts engage in commercial activities. It's called the CRIS system. Don't take my word for it. Every police department is a private corporation for profit. That's why they issue tickets. It's a revenue scheme. You didn't know? Traffic citations are not law. Traffic citations are code. Both of them are present. They're in all caps section header. Okay, and EeoN Arbitration Specialist Agent is built. Hey, I didn't tell it to do the EeoN Arbitration Specialist Agent, but it's the arbitration agent. And the specialist, I see what it did. It's putting together, Lord have mercy, it did what I asked it to do. Oh, snap. Okay, so I got to take care of that later. Yay. All right, that's what's going to be done. Let's get rid of them homeboys and get rid of that too. So, ladies and gentlemen, when you document the information, and there will be a form for you all to fill out. When you fill out the form requesting arbitration, the arbitrator will schedule everything through the trustee. If the trustee accepts your application, see, sometimes people are just offended because somebody's offended them. This is not for that. Sometimes people just want to get revenge. This is not for that. This is for legitimate claims. And don't worry about it. All you have to do is bring the claim to the trustee. It is his job to notify. The EeoN Foundation is the trustee. It is his job to notify the claimant. Okay? It is his job to notify the claimant. So once you pay attention, apply for the arbitration, then the trustee acknowledges receipt of your application and payment. If the trustee decides not to take your case, then the monies will be refunded to you. Now, why would the trustee not take your case? If it is what we've talked about before, you're seeking revenge for something for which you have no proof that your rights have been violated. Sorry. If you bring forth proof that your rights have been violated, then all you need to do is provide proof that the organization engages in commercial activity. And ta-da! Now, ladies and gentlemen, I have to go and adjust my heater because it's 6 o'clock in the morning, and the temperature outside just dropped. And it dropped, well, I'm sensitive to temperature change. So we're 64 degrees, but the temperature outside is about 20 degrees. Matter of fact, I'm going to go out there and look to see exactly what it is because I can feel the difference, and the difference is bone chilling, even though it's 64 degrees in here and I don't have a jacket or nothing on. So, yeah, I got to go correct that. I just wanted to bring this to your attention. We're going to be talking about arbitration and the whole process from this point forward. So, people get ready, for the train is coming. Gotta go. Hey, y'all know what to do. Gotta go.